And yet he still said that. So it made me think there's a chance here we might be not getting the full truth. Here's a text exchange between Cassie and Diddy where Diddy starts by saying, "I miss you already." Cassie says, "Me too." Diddy says, "When do you want to freak off, lol?" Cassie replies, "Lol, I'm just going up the change. I'm always ready to freak off, lol, lol." Sorry, what? I'm not saying she may not have sent him messages that weren't completely genuine, but this is evidence, and it is very much contradicting everything you've said before. I get you did it to make him happy, but...
What if the star witness in one of the biggest celebrity trials wasn't the victim everyone thought? The Diddy trial just took a wild turn, and Cassie's testimony is flipping the script in ways you won't believe. The government's case against Diddy is brutal. They're painting him as a controlling monster who orchestrated everything for his own twisted pleasure, with Cassie as his unwilling sex slave. There's even chilling CCTV footage of him physically attacking her, proving he's capable of violence. But here's the kicker. The case doesn't rest on the assault alone. It's about proving Diddy forced Cassie into a world she didn't want. And that's where things get messy. Now, the defense is coming for Cassie, the star witness, with a plan to tear her story apart. They don't need a knockout punch, just enough doubt to make the jury question her. They're digging into her past, trying to show she wasn't a helpless victim, but a willing participant in Diddy's world. It's a risky move, especially with more witnesses waiting in the wings. But Cassie's credibility is the key to this trial. And what they've uncovered? It's a game changer. Why is Cassie's story so complicated? Well, hold on to your seat because the defense is bringing receipts that don't line up with her victim narrative. From secret dinners to shocking texts, the evidence is painting a picture that's anything but black and white. Want to know what's got everyone talking? Stick around, because this is just the start of a wild ride.
I like that about you.
I'm not sure you're my type.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your type?
Fun, no expectations,
So, no strings, right?
no strings.
Well, you might be right. Maybe I'm not your type.
But here's where the plot thickens. In August 2018, Cassie met Diddy for dinner in Malibu, calling it a closure conversation. Sounds innocent, right? Except she was already in a serious relationship with Alex, her now husband. Why sneak off to dine with a man she claimed was a monster? The defense is pouncing on this, arguing it muddies her story of escaping Diddy's grip. Things get crazier. Cassie admitted to consensual sex with Diddy after that dinner, even though she claimed he forced himself on her earlier. So, was she a victim trapped by fear, or was there more to her choices? This contradiction is shaking the courtroom. Cassie's actions keep raising eyebrows. If she was desperate to break free, why keep going back to Diddy? The defense is hammering this, saying her behavior, returning for dates and hookups, doesn't scream helpless victim. Imagine her husband Alex sitting in court, hearing she was unfaithful while they were together. It's a gut punch that paints Cassie as less than devoted, chipping away at her angelic image. The jury's got to be wondering, can they fully trust her story when her actions seem so conflicted? It's not just about what she says, it's about what she did.
Well, it seems like P. Diddy exposes the Cassie text messages where she says she loves the freak-offs. What's your guys' thoughts about it?
Then come the texts. Oh, those texts. The defense dropped bombshell messages where Cassie sounds anything but reluctant about Diddy's freak-offs, those wild, orchestrated sexual events. She wrote, "I'm always ready to freak off," and even suggested dates, like a Friday night for recovery time. Proactive much? A male escort backed this up, testifying Cassie seemed into it, enjoying the encounters. These receipts clash hard with her claim of being coerced. Was she playing along to please Diddy, or was she genuinely on board? The defense is betting these texts make the jury see a different Cassie, one who wasn't just a pawn in Diddy's game. The defense is playing hardball, wielding Cassie's own words like a sledgehammer. Those texts where she gushes about freak-offs? Gold for Diddy's team. They're flashing messages like, "I can't wait to have my legs cocked behind my head," to show Cassie wasn't just along for the ride, she was enthusiastic. A male escort's testimony doubles down, claiming she enjoyed these wild encounters. This paints a picture far from the helpless sex slave the prosecution describes. What's more damning? The defense can't find a single text where Cassie says, "I don't want this," or "You're forcing me." That silence is deafening, making her courtroom claims of coercion look shaky. Every racy message chips away at the narrative that she was purely a victim, leaving the jury to wonder if she was more complicit than she's letting on. Then there's the CCTV footage, brutal proof of Diddy's violence. It shows him attacking Cassie, supposedly because she refused a freak off to avoid being roughed up before a movie premiere. But hold up, texts from the day before catch Cassie saying, "Baby, I want to freak off so bad." Wait, what? The defense pounces on this contradiction, waving those messages to argue she wasn't resisting, but craving the action. It's a slick move. If she was so eager, how can she claim she was forced? This flip-flop between her story and the evidence is exactly the kind of doubt the defense needs to plant in the jury's minds. Cassie's role in the freak-offs gets even messier. She wasn't just showing up, she was helping run the show. Texts reveal her contacting escorts, even offering to feel them out over calls. She's buying candles, setting the mood, and organizing logistics. This isn't a woman dragged into things against her will, it's someone knee-deep in the planning. The defense hammers this, saying she wasn't Diddy's puppet but an active player, shredding the prosecution's claim that she had no choice. And if that's not wild enough, Cassie was dating Kid Cutie while still hooking up with Diddy for freak-offs. How does a powerless victim have the freedom to date another guy, yet keep running back to Diddy? The defense leaps on this, arguing she had way more control than she admits. Choosing to juggle relationships while staying in Diddy's orbit? That's not the move of someone with zero agency. Cassie's admission of drug use during the so-called freak-offs has become a central issue for the defense as they attempt to challenge the credibility of her testimony. She referred to herself and Diddy as get-high partners, highlighting a mutual culture of substance use that, according to the defense, compromised her ability to recall events accurately. Cassie herself admitted to having foggy memories of certain details, including whether someone walked in during a session, attributing the vagueness to being under the influence. This opens the door for the defense to argue that her recollections are unreliable at best, and possibly distorted or exaggerated due to frequent drug use, weakening the impact of her allegations. Beyond the question of reliability, Cassie's testimony included deeply personal and painful accounts of health issues she experienced as a result of participating in these freak-offs. She described recurring urinary tract infections and physical pain tied directly to those encounters. Given that she delivered these statements while being 8.5 months pregnant in court, her vulnerability drew visible sympathy. However, the defense seized on this to suggest a contradiction. Despite her claims of suffering, she continued to engage in these activities over a long period. This, they argue, implies that the infections, while serious, were not deterrent enough for her to remove herself from the situation, hinting at an element of choice, or at least complicity. Adding complexity to the picture, Cassie explained that Diddy's methods for getting her to participate were not overtly forceful. Instead, she claimed he used charm, humor, and positive reinforcement to persuade her. According to her account, he would act playful or funny, painting these situations as opportunities for pleasure rather than coercion. This narrative presents a subtle, psychological form of manipulation, but the defense has emphasized that such behavior undercuts the idea of her having no choice. If persuasion was necessary, they argue, then it suggests she retained some degree of agency, even if it was within a distorted power dynamic. This allows the defense to point to an emotional tug-of-war rather than outright domination. All of these arguments feed into the defense's broader strategy, which is to reframe the entire relationship as one that was consensual and possibly reflective of a swinger's lifestyle rather than a coercive, abusive one. They are painting a picture of two adults engaging in unconventional behavior as part of a mutually agreed-upon relationship. Messages of affection exchanged between the two, along with Cassie's repeated participation in events she later described as traumatic, are presented as evidence of that. Furthermore, the defense argues that Cassie's decisions were motivated by her desire to maintain access to Diddy's wealth, and the privileges that came with being close to a high-profile billionaire. In this light, her actions are interpreted not as those of a victim with no options, but as someone who made difficult compromises to maintain her position within a luxurious and influential lifestyle. It adds weight to the defense by highlighting Cassie's mental resilience and ability to navigate an intense, often unstable relationship with Diddy over 11 years. Despite his erratic behavior, she managed to keep his emotional attention, which the defense says reflects her intelligence and strategy. Her continued involvement is framed not just as manipulation or coercion, but also as a choice, motivated by emotional attachment, fear of losing her lifestyle, and the power tied to being close to a billionaire. The defense also leans on the lack of clear evidence showing non-consent. Though Cassie describes the freak-offs as traumatic, the defense points to a digital trail filled with messages showing her excitement or playful tone, and little that shows resistance. The only objection cited was not wanting to be filmed. Against many pro-participation messages, This contrast is used to challenge her current claims, suggesting inconsistency and raising questions about her credibility. This case is complex. Cassie is likely a victim, but maybe also a little bit freaky. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember, it's not all on Cassie. More witnesses are coming, but her testimony is key. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more trial updates.